And a lot of times our furniture has a weight to it that we don't necessarily see. We might feel that something is off in our space, but we don't really understand why that might be. And I want you to think about the amount, not the amount of space it's taking up, though that could be it, but the heaviness that it brings to it. And I want you to think about decluttering or moving that visual weight.
We grew up with the phrase, home is where the heart is, but our culture has shifted and now the message is, home should be Pinterest perfect. I'm calling BS on that message. Home, it's not about the stuff, it's about the story. And whether you know it or not, your home is a reflection of you and is already saying something. So what is it that you want it to say? Hey, I'm Danny, a former first grade teacher turned home decorator. Going from a dual income to a single income so I could stay home with my babies meant budget, like ramen eating, Goodwill shopping budget. And I learned a few things along the way, like how to bring big style to your home without breaking the bank. And I'm sharing it all with you. Tips, tricks, decor, and design advice so you can learn to tell your story with your style. Where you can start living free from the Pinterest perfect trap and start living a life of intention. Welcome to Fig and Farm at Home, where we design happy living and where it doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful.
The calendar tells me it's summer, though when I look outside, I'm not entirely sure that that's the truth. Wearing sweatshirts and wearing jeans is still definitely a part of my MO, but I know it's coming. And I know that some of us are already really relishing in sprinkler play, sidewalk chalk, and hanging out in the backyard having dinner. But when it comes to your home, we can get our homes summer ready, whether it feels like summer outside or not. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest, friends, where you just don't know when you know summer is going to officially start on July 5th. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 10 things that you can do to refresh your home for summer without feeling overwhelmed and without having to buy a lot. In fact, a lot of the things that I have here on my list are inexpensive or free. And I don't know about you, but I love that. All right, here we go. The first thing I want you to think about is the heaviness of furniture, the visual weight. And a lot of times our furniture has a weight to it that we don't necessarily see. We might feel that something is off in our space, but we don't really understand why that might be. And I want you to think about the amount, not the amount of space it's taking up, though that could be it, but the heaviness that it brings to it. And I want you to think about decluttering or moving that visual weight. If it is a big piece of furniture, I mean, the reality is that's something we're living with. We can't necessarily declutter it, but we can think about how it is playing nicely or not in the room and how it's bringing a heaviness to one corner. Let me give you an example. When I go to clients' homes and we're trying to figure out what we can do to lighten it up, a lot of times the goal is light and airy. I have yet to have a client who was brave enough to try the moody, broody academia look or the let's get all kind of cozy and I want to paint the entire room. I want to color drench the entire room. I've not yet had a client ready to do that. They're usually wanting to make it light, bright, and airy, and that's okay. That is a timeless look. But when we're trying to go for light, bright, and airy, which by the way is very summer, summer is all about lightness, we want to think about contrast. And when we're looking at space and we see things like a living room couch next to a dark living room couch next to a dark side table, next to two armchairs that are really relatively dark with a dark side table in between them, that's a lot of dark. And so if we can use any kind of contrast to make it a little bit lighter, that's going to be a good thing. And you can do that, of course, by adding textiles. If you have a dark couch, you can add a light textile on top. You can do that by swapping out or painting or remediating the little piece in between the two chairs. Do you see where I'm going here? But visual weight doesn't just have to be with furniture. Visual weight can be on top of furniture items. It can be all of the things that you see on entryway tables, on bookshelves, on dining tables, on credenzas, in hutches. Think about how heavy those pieces appear and move things around, declutter, remediate just a little bit so that it appears a little bit more light visually. Okay, number two, swap out the heavy textiles. If you still have really thick blankets out, now I know I do because sometimes we need them. In fact, I just turned on the fire about 3 days ago in our living room. But if you swap out the textiles to something that is a little bit more, that is a lighter weight material, a lightweight cotton or a linen, something with a little bit more fresh of a summer tone, softer whites, creams, even even lighter colors, those are going to add a lightness to the room that feels really seasonally appropriate. So put away those velvets, put away those chunky throws, put away those really thick blankies, and get out things that feel in both weight and look a little bit lighter. All right, number three, one of my favorites, and it's going to be also number four, bring the outdoors in. And number four, bring the indoors out. I absolutely love having the open spaces throughout the summer. I love eating outside. I love hanging out a little bit longer on the back porch. I love it. It's more comfortable. And I want that outside to be an extension of the inside. And I want the inside to reflect the outside. Now, bringing the outdoors in is something that I would recommend doing any season. Clipping greenery, clipping fresh flowers, clipping branches with leaves, what have you. I want you to bring in some of those outdoors to add a little bit of vibrancy to your space. But bringing the indoors out, what does that mean? If you have a patio area out back, are there things that you can bring outside that make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more like an invitation to hang out like you would in your living room? Maybe it's a tray for your little coffee table outside. Maybe it is as simple as some vases or some candles sitting on your side tables outdoors. Maybe it's a pillow that you haven't had on your patio furniture. For me, in my home, I have an outdoor covered area that has a fireplace. We built a chimney a few years ago that has a standalone fireplace. So it is a really lovely covered area that feels like another living room. And I bring out blankets and I bring out pillows and I bring out candles for the mantelpiece and I bring out a tray for the coffee table. And it looks like another living room. Now, you might not have that, and that's absolutely okay. But do you have an area rug that you can put underneath your seating area for the patio furniture that you normally play with? That is kind of what I'm talking about, allowing that space, that outdoor space to feel a little bit more inviting, a little bit more comfortable, and a little bit more loungeable. Number five is to bring in or change out the scents that you have in your home. For me, around Christmas time, I love that Christmassy, the pine, the really cinnamony kind of scent that is in the air. And of course, I change it up for fall as well. I love the smell of homemade cookies or apple pie. I love that. But for summer, I want something a little bit lighter. The whole theme for me is light, light, bright, airy. And I want that in my scent as well. Nothing beats summer scent like coconut, lemon, orange, even that sea salty air. Those are the things that I want to be burning. If I have a candle, I use diffusers in my home, so I do make some combinations that smell a little bit more citrusy, a little bit more summery, and all of that is intentional. So what can you swap out for your scents? Number six, one of the things I love doing, especially in my dining room, is decorating with fruit. Now, before you get the idea that I have my paints aside and I'm ready to do a still life on a fruit bowl, that's not what I'm meaning. In the fall, I love to have a centerpiece out with apples. And of course, these get eaten, right? This is acting as if it's a livable, breathable art piece. In the winter, I love to have pomegranates out. In the summer, I love to have lemons or oranges, something that I know is going to be eaten because my kids devour fruit. But this goes with the whole theory that anything that is out is decoration. Anything that is you're leaving out on a flat surface, that counts as decor. So why not make it practical and useful? Just put it in a bowl, but make that bowl something that you absolutely love. Number seven, I want you to think about what natural materials you have in your space. Those natural materials like rattan or jute, bamboo, driftwood even, all of those are going to feel a little bit more summery. Of course, they can hang out year round, but they not only add a texture to your space, they do add that feeling of relaxation. It's a very casual look. It's one of my actually very favorites. That coastal grandma look, that Nancy Meyer movie set look, those all have a very naturally woven, relaxed feel to them. And that can happen with those materials like rattan and jute. So if you've been thinking about swapping out an entryway rug, go ahead and give it a try and give it a try with jute. Number eight, this is where it gets a little bit more, or could get a little bit more expensive than the other recommendations. But think about what you have on your window treatments. Are your window treatments, do you have curtains on your windows? And are those curtains a heavier weighted material? Just like we talked about with visual weight and removing textiles or replacing textiles, or the visual weight of a piece of furniture, those curtains add a visual weight as well. So if you have curtains that are velvet or blackout curtains, try swapping those out this summer. Try swapping them out for a lighter material, something that is a little bit less heavy, maybe a sheer panel, a linen, a cotton, maybe even a different pattern. If you naturally have cotton or linen curtains anyway, try replacing it with something that reminds you of summer, like a floral. Number nine is kind of a similar approach, meaning you might not have it. And so it's not necessarily a shop your own home in order to make this look happen. But think about your artwork. What artwork do you have on your wall? And do you have any artwork that feels a little bit more fall or a little bit more winter or a little bit more spring? And can you swap it out for something that feels lighter, brighter, airier, sets the tone for that summer relaxation? Do you have your favorite beach prints that you can hang up that are going to be replacing a picture that you have of your family in the fall, for example? Swapping out some of those fine details like that can really set the tone and the stage for a summertime feel within your home. One of my very favorite ways to change out art is to prints on Etsy. Etsy is one of my very favorite places to uh, have pieces that are a little bit more unique, a little bit more, they're a little different than they would be going to a big box store. And the best part is they're really affordable because a lot of them are printable downloads. So you can take it to your local print shop and have them print out the print for you for relatively inexpensive. And if you're swapping out the print that's inside of a frame, you've already invested in the frame. So it's just now a matter of a print. And then it's easy storage for when you want to swap that out for later in the year for making your home feel a little bit more fall or a little bit more cozy winter or sweet spring. So swapping those out throughout the year is such a fun way to bring in a little bit of summer in a way that's a little bit above and beyond, a little bit unexpected. And then, friend, I think that was actually number 10, but I'm going to give you a bonus one. When I'm thinking about summertime, I want to think about relaxing. I want to think about that feeling of ease. I want to think about letting it be smooth and easy. I want to think about joyful summertime afternoons. I want to think about all of the things that we like to do as a family that are just easy. I'm constantly picturing the days of running in and outside of the home to go run in the sprinkler or to come in and grab the popsicle or to go outside and read the book because it's such a lovely day. And what I'm not really thinking about is cleaning and managing all the stuff. So, friend, do yourself a favor and set yourself up for success here by doing a round of decluttering. removing things that no longer serve you and your family. And of course, this is going to happen in any season and anytime we want to refresh a space. And it should most definitely happen now, because if we know that furniture pieces can add a visual weight to your space, extra items in your home can add a visual heaviness as well. And I don't know about you, but if your kiddos are home for the summer, it can just already feel a little bit more full in your home. So doing yourself the favor of allowing your home to breathe just a little bit more can happen when you remove some of the stuff. And we're not removing the kids. We want to have a joyful time with those kiddos this summer. All right, friend, 10 ways that you can bring summer into your home decorating without breaking the bank or making you feel like you need a design degree. But if you need some help or if you want some help or a little bit of company making it work for you, I'm always here and ready to jump on a decorating SOS call with you to give you a little hand. You can book that at figandfarmathome.com/decorating SOS. Or if you're hanging out by the pool, not wanting to get in with the kids, and you have some extra time on your hands, now is the time to join the collective. You can bring it with you on your mobile device, learning as you go while the kids splash in the pool. You can get the collective at figandfarmathome.com/the collective. All right, friend, until next time, I'll see you soon.